Now, victims and families of those affected by the contaminated blood scandal in the 1980s are holding a demonstration in London today in an effort to draw attention to the role that pharmaceutical companies may have played in the infection of more than 3,000 people with hepatitis C and HIV. Well, I'm joined now by Tony Farrugia, who lost his father to AIDS after he was treated with contaminated blood products. And also, Tony, I understand you have a cousin who's also been affected. Dreadful bad luck to have two in your family affected. What are you hoping today will achieve?
Well, we've actually got 4 in our family, not 2. I lost my father and both my uncles, and my cousin is still currently living with the effects of hepatitis C stage 2. The reason for the protest today is to bring the pharmaceutical companies into the forthcoming public inquiry that's been announced that we're hoping will start shortly. So that's what today was about at the pharmaceutical companies, was that they are also included in this inquiry and that they are held to account for their role.
Do you think they will be? Do you think the government is listening to you?
I would hope that the government are listening to us. I'm not sure whether this is actually down to the government or the fact that we put in our terms of reference to the inquiry judge that we would expect that the pharmaceutical companies would toe the line and be brought into this.
And in terms of damages, if pharmaceutical companies were brought in, presumably you'd be hoping that they would be facing some kind of liability.
And the government, yes, both. I would hope that that liability would be found from both parties, as is what we feel is clearly the case.
Just talk to us about the impact that this has had on your life and your family's lives, having 4 members of your family affected by this.
Well, my father was infected with a multitude of viruses, or a virus soup, as it's been called. He was infected with hepatitis B in the late 70s, and then into the turn of the 80s he was infected with hepatitis C, but it was known as non-A, non-B back then. We believe that he was exposed to the HIV virus through treatment for his mild haemophilia. Round about 1984, so 1984 he became unwell. I was removed from the family home and sent to live with my natural mother. And I think from there the family just disintegrated, really. My father became quite unwell about a year into the virus, where the HIV had started to affect his brain. He was diagnosed with organic brain syndrome, and then he was sectioned under the Mental Health Act in April 1986, and that was actually the last time I saw him. He passed away in September 1986. The impact has been devastating. I was already removed from the family home, but my brother, my twin brother, was actually removed from the family home 2 days after my father died. So all the children have been separated for many years. Excuse me for this.
Oh, I'll let you get that. Let you turn it off.
I didn't see my brothers for the best part of 26 years, and we were only first fully reunited in 2010. So the impact has actually been devastating, and also to lose other members of the family to the same virus, as well as the hepatitis C, because of the hereditary haemophilia in our family, and it's across a whole generation of brothers, and we've lost all of them. So the whole family has suffered, not just myself, but the whole family group, with family members dying, and just as recently as 2012. So we've been burying our dead for the best part of 32 years, and it's still not over.
Do you have confidence that this inquiry, which is going to be held now, will actually get to the bottom of what happened and why it seemed to be hidden by successive governments?
I would like to think so, that we would get to the bottom of this, but we've got such a long history of being let down at the last minute. Obviously, we've got the Archer inquiry, which wasn't an independent public inquiry, and the Department of Health refused to take part. And then we had the Penrose inquiry, which was a Scottish inquiry, but they just didn't seem to get to the point. I know from what I know of the Penrose inquiry is that it was mainly for Scottish victims, and it looks like the victims that were looked at were mainly whole blood, so it seems that haemophilia wasn't touched upon very much.
Well, we shall see. Tony Farrugia, you are out of time, I'm afraid, but thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much for having us on. Very much appreciated. Thank you.